Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar.
I am the Diva D, Denise Thomas with Carved Out Divas, and welcome
And we're Diversity and Equity in Education being hosted by.
the fantastic and phenomenal Bianca Goolsby of Teaching for the Culture. Good evening, everyone. I was just bouncing to the intro music, and I absolutely love it.
Right, I was over here juking real hard. I was like, what? Happened? Like our intro just was like, it startled me.
Right.
That it was interrupted, but
right.
we
It
got
got us in the mood.
got back on track.
So
It's been 3 weeks, y'all. What y'all been doing?
Right. What has been going on these past 3 weeks? Well, first of all, we have segued from the first quarter to the second quarter. So parents, report cards supposedly will be out the last week of October. So just be very aware of the fact that the first quarter has concluded. And it's now time, if you have never checked your children's information, check Canvas, you've never checked in with the teacher, this will be a good time to do that so that you can familiarize yourself with your children's teachers in the event that a child did not perform successfully in the first quarter. Okay, don't ever wait until conference night. You can check in anytime you want to. And Canvas is a live, open, active document. And so therefore you can, message teachers and you can get feedback relatively quickly. So we want to encourage you to do that as we proceed into the second quarter. So we are officially on the second week of the second quarter. And this is that long month of October with no holidays, no days off, no breaks, no nothing like that. So it's exhausting. Just want to do that.
And parents, remember, now is the time for students to reset. They can reset academically. They can reset as it relates to being knowing what the teacher is expecting in the classroom, not only academic wise, but behavior wise. So again, it's an opportunity for them to reset. They still can be successful in this current grade year, but the ultimate goal is not to continuously enter into the school day not prepared, unorganized, not completing homework, and so on and so forth. If you want your child to be successful, you have to be successful at reminding them on what it requires in order to obtain that success. So that's my input on
that. Right. Also just remember, parents, it is Sunday evening, which means that this is the time to check the book bags.
Not just the book bags. Check the damn book bags.
The damn book bags. Correct.
Now we got to check the damn book bags.
Right.
So at this point, I know my twins on Sundays, I have to check the damn book bags because it be papers in there, stuff from whomever, deodorant pieces where the deodorant then broke off in the book bag, wipes, candy wrappers, food that was taken from the cafeteria that shouldn't have been, you name it. So if I'm doing it weekly, I know some of us haven't checked it all. Literally, I had a student with a book bag that was spoiled. Something spoiled in the bottom of the book bag. And all the kids was like, what is that smell every time they would walk by? And I was like, it's something spilled in your book bag. Lo and behold, we pull out the book bag, a whole doggone orange in there, mushy, just spoiled. Like it was so rank. And I was like, honey, you need to go home and make sure that this book bag is thoroughly washed, like my grandmother used to say. So yeah, it's very important, parents, that you all take the time to look in the book bag.
I apologize.
Make sure that everything that is in there belongs there, and everything that does not, meaning perishable items, take them out and wash the book bag.
Correct. And I do apologize. I hit a button. As you know, technology and I are not friends. But I will, to add to that, please, parents, I've smelled certain things coming out of book bags. For example, just to echo what April said, milk. Kids will take food items out and that milk will sit in the book bag and they'll forget that it's there. Gym shorts. Let's talk about the gym short, gym clothing, that teenage, that, let's be real, that prepubescent funk is nothing to play with. Okay, so I need you to go ahead and then you can fabuloso the book bag. You can spray it down with some kind of wipes, microban it, Lysol it, all that. Okay, because remember, the smells that are in the house are retained in clothing, cotton clothing, uniforms, bags. So we can pretty much, you know, if things are happening in the house, we smell it, what's coming out of the house. But just make sure, please, that you're
including the tweeds.
and
Including the
that's
tweeds.
basically what I was going to say. The tweeds are strong. The funk, as I say, the funk is strong with this one. Funk is
Like,
strong.
don't bring your kids in the car smoking that good loud, because
Right.
they loud when they walk in the door.
That pressure, that funk, that West Tampa. Don't bring it. Don't bring, because I'm telling you, you know, and we know it, we can't put it on the kids because it's in their clothes. Okay, so we're being, you know, aware, and we're understanding, but so there are some teachers that will not be. So I need you to make sure the clothes are clean and fresh, and use the extra bounce sheet, the dryer sheet, whatever you got to use to defunk them clothes. Do it. That's all we got to say about that. Okay. And that leads us into cultural competency and relevance. And we've had an awesome and fantastic weekend. April and I both at two different locations, and then we came back together on Saturday. So first off, April, since your event began before mine, can you tell me about your weekend at FEA? What was going on over there?
Hold on just a second. Let me get these kids quiet.
Okay.
So we had the FBA Conference, which is an annual conference every year. That's the Florida Education Association. And that's where the delegates from each union come together at the conference, and we discuss legislative priorities for the year. We discuss things that are going on in the education field. And one thing that continues to be the same conversation. What do you think that one same thing is, Denise, that when it applies to teachers? What is that one common thing that they will talk about every year? What do you think it is?
Will it be something dealing with social emotional learning, or
about the teachers?
Say again.
For teachers.
For teachers, you know, there's so much equity, equality, justice, diversity, cash, dollars, all that. Okay. So
teacher pay. Yep, that discussion once again is back on the forefront, but it basically was to tell us that nothing's going to change. Yes, we are aware that teachers are making, you know, the minimum as it relates to the comparison of the work that we do. And legislative wise, there was I can't remember what the gentleman said that's the president for the FEA, but he made reference to say that in legislation there was like 26 amendments to that's around, or language around, teacher pay, and no other profession exists that have any amendments around or language around their pay. So it's in the end we just are devalued. In our lifetime, we are never going to see the six figures that we deserve versus the individuals that are making six figures for playing a sport. And I'm not saying that they should not receive it. I'm just saying that there's no way in hell that we are the profession that is at the heart and the development of every profession, that a lot of teachers are having to work 2 and 3 jobs and still cannot make ends meet. So it just goes to show you that once again, the U.S., we didn't get it right. We continue to not get it right. So the FBA conference was wonderful. It always is a good opportunity to come together with different districts and be able to, you know, network and share pros and cons that are happening in our district. And we identified our legislative priorities for the year. And in a nutshell, they don't look too indifferent from previous years. But I will say that we had an opportunity. Well, our one of our local House representatives, Fentress Driscoll, won the award from the FBA for y'all know I'm horrible with titles, but the long story short, she won the award. So we're gonna wrap back around to her with the Sunshine Education Coalition, since she received a reward from FEA as it relates to education, to see once again if we can get her to heighten the awareness about school to prison pipeline, which is definitely a segue into our next topic. But yeah, go ahead, Didi.
Yes, that did sound exciting. But you know, we always know that teaching we are the most professionally developed people However, we don't get paid like professionals. And the fact that, this weekend we also went to Equality for Justice, or Education for Justice conference at USF, and that was absolutely amazing.
Oh, no. We need you to be clear. We didn't just attend. We were
We
what?
we actually presented at that conference. So I was gonna get to that, because I started off as a attendee, because I wanted to hear the keynote speakers, which were awesome. And then we presented a Saturday afternoon, and we presented about the school to prison pipeline. And it's amazing how every keynote speaker, every person that had something to offer at the conference, also mentioned the effects of the school to prison pipeline, and showing how, even though everyone wants to say, the district admin, all these people want to say we're doing such a wonderful job, but your society does not reflect that you're doing a wonderful job. Because if you're constantly producing children that are unable to be a benefit to society, who are unable to purchase homes, they're unable to get jobs, they're unable to do anything else other than be sent directly into into prison, and you've criminalized things that other people can do successfully. For example, you've criminalized the fact that I can't make a court date, I can't pay my a speeding ticket, I cannot purchase food, I can't do certain things. So when you've turned those basic activities into criminal activities, now you're basically creating an entire society, a system, because it's systematic, that shows that it funnels kids right into that. But of course, it's a whole system, and people don't want to believe that it exists, but it absolutely does exist. One of the greatest takeaways that I got from the conference this weekend was, and I'm going to give a direct quote: if you have an equity office, then you don't have equity in any place that you work. So that means that the fact that, by the very nature of the fact that you have an office that's responsible for equity and diversity, means that you don't have equity and diversity in your place. So your job really is worthless. Okay, your job, what is the point of your job? And then on top of that, the fact that your office of equity and diversity is not even diverse. Your job, your office should reflect the society. If there are Native Americans, if there are Indian Americans, if there are Hispanics, there are Asians, there are Africans, they're Black. Okay, why does your diversity office look like that? But again, April.
So today we had an opportunity to receive, the keynote speaker was Dr. Bettina Love. Listen, if you have never heard of this sister, go find her, because she came out so strong from the point that she began to speak on this was the best virtual presentation I have ever experienced. The music, the culture, the language, the experience seemed as though we were sitting in the room. Is that how you felt, Denise? It felt as though you were sitting in the room.
I sure did.
She literally captured everyone, her complete audience, and we were like, "Oh my God, we don't even know what to say at the end of her presentation." But my biggest takeaway that now is going to it has become a part of my DNA. When I asked the question as it relates to how do individuals like Denise and myself, and even the Teachers for the Culture team, how can we become more welcomed into the conversations that are being held at the tables as it relates to social emotional learning constantly being the solution for students, and the majority minority students, as it relates to their behaviors being deemed inappropriate for the classroom environment or the school setting. And her response was, our youth don't need to be saved. The barriers needs to be changed or removed. Listen at that. It's the barriers. It's not the children, because our children come equipped. It's just that we have to adjust how we are bringing the actual curriculum to them. They don't need to be saved. SEL isn't necessarily the answer.
When she said things like, when you look at the fact that why would people want to suppress our culture? because our culture brings so much into what, for basically, if you look at our culture, it's been stolen and appropriated by everyone else. So that means that our culture is already there, and you can learn from it, and you can use the culture that the kids are inherently born with to teach them. So like kids, when she showed us a video of a child who was babbling and had music playing in the background, but that child already had so much intelligence that they already knew how to make a beat to the beat that's there. You want to teach mathematics? She showed a picture of girls with cornrows and all these different intricate styles in their hair that no one taught them how to do mathematically, but the styles are they doing swirls and they're doing lines and zigzags and things like that. That's the math in there. It was amazing how she took things that we already knew how to do and incorporated that. But then she also she said to us about, well, create your own small schools or create your own learning centers, because the things that other teachers would look at and say, this child is a problem, but you've not tapped into what makes that child magical. Just like what's his name, Jesse, when he said, you know, we're tired, we know that we Black people are magic, but we also real people too. Talk to us like real people, like we're real human beings. Tap into everything that's special about us. We come from different cultures and different nations, but that's part of the reason why we were suppressed when we were brought to this country as enslaved people, not enslaved people. And then that also what she talked about was the fact that why is it that's the only history that we know of us as a people when we have a rich and deep and vibrant culture.
Yeah, so, that she started out the presentation with that, with, if all you know about Black people is enslavement and suffering, then you don't know Black people. Because if you strip away those two things, just those two things, and go back and look at historically, beginning with the White House, the masonry work alone speaks volume to the fact that we can be uneducated, but these hands, baby, them hands can produce miraculous outcomes. And a lot of our children work with their hand. They know beats, they know dancing, they know music. Yes, the current era that our children are in right now, it is a lot. But the exposure to those things that are deemed inappropriate for them is where the problem is. Because in all actuality, they know rap songs like the front, the back, the beat, the dance. They can do all of that. And TikTok has demonstrated to me, now I have a whole new look on that too now. Because when she said that about the fact that these kids can dance, rap, choreograph, all of that without any training. Come on. And then they are not equipped necessarily, the majority of them, to know how to monetize it. But their peers, non-Black peers, have family members that know how to monetize it and go get the extra equipment and go. So again, we just got to look at it in a different light.
When our children are deprived of the opportunity to excel, that's the issue right there, because you know, like, they have the talent, they have the ability, they have the brain power, they can do it. So imagine now if you took all, you actually added to the curriculum the things that would empower our children. You can't not suppress them, not say, okay, they have to have, okay, because SEL is to make the white teacher feel safe. That's really what it is. Because it's not about our children. Oh, you need to have our children go to social. No, it's sort of like categorizing our children as special education, categorizing our children as, you know, they have all these referrals and all these things like that. And we looked at the numbers. What really killed me was Friday night when they hit us with Hillsborough County data. I mean, and I was just like, they were showing data from across the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast. And I looked at Hillsborough County data and I was like, is this the same data we've been showing them all this time?
Hold on, isn't that the same data that was questioned? Is it valid data? But I guess the individual legs, squats, belly dives.
Take flight.
I almost said a word that was so awful, but I'm gonna leave that alone. And what also stuck with me for Dr. Love is that our children have figured out that their fate is tied to their peers' fate. They figured that out. It's the adults that haven't figured that out yet. It's the adults that haven't figured that out yet.
Right. And because there was another professor, I think his name was Jeff Andrade. I know I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I've tried to reach out to him already, so I'm excited about speaking with him. But he told us about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which was stolen from an indigenous tribe, because the Maslow's hierarchy of needs actually does like this. It's a closed pyramid, which is all focused about you. But the Indian tribe was taken from the top of the pyramid, the top of the pyramid is open, which means it affects everyone in the community. What you learn is good for and one example that stood out the most, when children are taking a test, what's the first thing a child would do if you look over at your test? You want to cover the test up. But the thing about it is you're hiding knowledge from your peer. Your peer needs to learn from you. And the more that you teach each other, the bigger and better your society is going to get. So, but we already force our children to say, it's all about me. Don't get my answers. What happened to the collaborative learning then? There should be no test. He's like, there should be no test. What's the point of a test? Because you want all children to learn, not some children to be successful. So here it is now. We need to go back to that community feel. Now, remember what Black people used to say? It takes a village. Well, where's the village? We need to go all the way back to the village mentality, to where we all learn and we all are growing together. And that's how you build your society back up. Because this society right now is ready for a fall. Let's be real. Every great society, from the Roman society, every possible society you could think of, has crashed and burned. This one is ready for a fall too. Why? Because we are not ready to accept what happened. So two words that came out this weekend as well was apology and atonement. I love those two words, because apology, I'm sorry that this happened to your people. But atonement means that you not only do you recognize it, you will acknowledge it, you will accept it, but you're also going to work actively to making a change.
And not dance around what the change is that needs to be fixed or changed. Not talk about the traits of it. No, address the elephant in the room. So again, the focus for Sunshine Education Coalition is what, Denise?
We are dedicated to stopping the school to prison pipeline. We are interrupting, we're disrupting, we are agitators, listen, every word you could think of. That's what our focus is. And we're not going to stop until God calls us home. Because honestly, this is hard work. And if you really think about it, it's only been 67 years since Brown versus Board of Education. And has it gotten any better?
No. It's gotten worse for the Black boy.
If anything, it's created. Yes, you wanted to desegregate the schools, but right now you have segregated the schools, because you've given parents all these choices. Listen, I want my kids to be around these Black kids, and guess what? You're busing the Black kids out, or you're busing the white kids in. So you're choosing this way of living. You're choosing to create this to make society like this. And then you want to know why? Well, why the test scores like that? Like the perfect example, the guy said, why is it that Texas? I got to pick on Texas. My sister lives there. Texas, they had great test scores. But you want to know why they had great test scores? Because the day that they had to do major testing, they took all the ESOL kids, the ones that the English is not their first language, and they put them on a bus and said, hey, you guys got a field trip, did a Six Flags. That's not fixing the problem. You're not helping anybody by doing that. Of course, your score is going to look great when the kids who's supposed to test that bring your scores down aren't there. They're absent that day. What other strategies are they trying to do to create just, the way it looks, to make it look good, as opposed to what's the real deal?
And also speak to that gentleman discussing all the awards that the districts are winning, including ours, for equity, but there's no equitable education being provided for all students in this district. And we could say that I could confidently say that, because if it was, we would see the discipline matrix or the discipline plan that equates to a balance in the students, the ethnicities of students being suspended, or the race of students being suspended, would be more balanced. You wouldn't have a 60% here and a 12% there and a 15% there. Within majority for all schools in any district that you come across, it's going to be that higher percentage being the Black boy or the Black child. Next, Hispanic boy, Hispanic girl.
I loved when in the presentation, and I think this is the problem that we have with the cultural competence and all the things like that. in the presentation, he said, you know, reason why a lot of people want to push SEL on our children is because wounded children speak the most truth. And children who are hurt, who they're hungry, they haven't don't have any power. Or one parent went to jail last night, or we're fighting. They're dealing with abuse. Okay, they're gonna come to school and they're gonna tell you exactly what's on your heart, and they're gonna see through your fakeness. They're gonna see through that. And then they don't want to talk about learning, reading a book on an old dead white man. They don't want to read a book like that. They just had major trauma in their life the night before. So why are you not addressing those needs first? Those are the needs that need to be addressed. If you want to see improvement in a child, let's get to that part. Let's figure out that part. But we don't want to do that. We want to push it under or talk to your counselor. How are they going to talk to the counselor? There's 900 to 1. When are they going to see the counselor? After you send them to Grace Point, and then they went and gone and completely insane at that point in time. You have to understand, we have to look at every single situation that led us to this point right here. And again, it looking at it totally in totality in the United States, he pulled something called a global health matrix, or global, I think it was called a global health matrix, a peace index. It was called a global peace index. So I kept a lot of notes. Guess where the United States falls in the global peace index? Peace. In 2015, they were 94th out of all the countries in the world. In 2019, they were 128th. So it's dropping. Okay? In 2020, it went to 121. So they went up 8. But you're 121 in terms of peaceful nations. You got nations like the Netherlands and Finland up there, like number 1 and number 2, living in peace. So that means, and then of course, you know, the United States, we have the most incarcerated, we've incarcerated the most of our citizens in this country. And you can't understand why we don't have equity, why we don't have peace, why we don't have equality, when everybody's being, and look at the numbers, compare the numbers in school data to the number of people who are incarcerated. And what I loved the most was when he took the map. That's the part that killed it. He took the map and put the map that showed all the people who are living, you know, on or beneath the poverty line, but then actually put also the map of the people who are incarcerated, and it was almost identical. Because what the numbers they're showing to when they show the numbers that say that, oh, school districts are doing fine, you're pulling those numbers from affluent neighborhoods. Of course, you're going to look like you're doing great if you're pulling those numbers from neighborhoods where everything is okay.
And there it is. And it was very refreshing, very confirming, very validating to hear people that are not even from Tampa, even more so from Florida, to know that we're on the right track to continue agitating this current topic that needs to be brought forth to the community. And we will continue to say it is highly recommended that our discipline data is posted on our school district's website in order to bring awareness like none other with the visual to share de-identified discipline data for each school, so it becomes more relevant in the conversations that are happening at the table for political officials, for the mayor's office, TPD, HCSO, mental health facilities, to where they don't have to play dive and find or scavenger hunt or holler hooty hoo to get the data. It should be at the click of a button, so that there's no lack of transparency to think that organizations as Sunshine Education Coalition is making the ish up, or just being what sometimes we as disgruntled teachers. There's nothing disgruntled about me. I'm just telling you the facts. There's nothing disgruntled about Denise. We just telling the facts. Correct. And ain't nobody getting paid. Bianca just telling the facts.
Right. Because listen, Bob Marley once said, the truth is an offense. Robert Nesta Marley, with his whole name. The truth is an offense. Why is the truth an offense? Because it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to make you wake up and realize and see the light, and you're going to get offended by it, or you're going to do something about it. One of the things that I really, here's what you need to do. Be humble. Be humble, first of all, and realize, okay, you know what? I'm not going to keep on pushing these lies. Because that's really all they are. It's just lies. Okay. Because if your society is not reflecting an upward change, if all you're seeing is you pushing people out of neighborhoods, Central Park, Black people gone. Wait, where they at? West Tampa, where they at? Where the Black people at? Now they're coming to East Tampa. Okay. Well, I've seen somebody white people walking dogs and stuff in East Tampa at night. I'm like, but I saw that in Ybor City. I saw that in Central Park. I saw that in West Tampa. All this is happening. You're pushing people out, but you're not bettering people's lives. So you're doing the benefit is only for the ones you want to choose to benefit. So now think about it now. You want to be concerned about crime. You're concerned about all this, but where's the opportunity? So if you start by saying, let me be humble, shut my mouth, and say, you know what? Let me listen. Let me remove me for a second and really listen and look at this data. The data ain't go. You can sugarcoat it however you want, but look, you step outside and realize the children have no way of living. There's no employment for the children. Parents are suffering. They're taking away all the benefits. Things are happening that are not pleasant. You're still seeing all the crime, but they're going to keep on pushing people out and over police. There's just so many things that's negative. Where's the hope for the children? That's the bottom line. Where's the hope? If a child come to school and can tell you that they're not happy, but they don't know why. You happy, but you don't know why you're not happy. I mean, that's a lot of trauma.
And there was also one of the speakers, Denise, because I didn't hear them, but I saw somewhere on something where it says there's a big difference between allyship and sponsorship. Who spoke about that? Which one of the gentlemen talked about that? Do you remember?
I believe it was
the Hispanic gentleman.
Yes,
California. Mm-hmm. So I read it and just in passing with something, but that too caught my attention because a lot of times individuals want to present themselves as being allies, meaning that I want to help you, I want to do this, I want to do that. But in the end, they treat you as though they are sponsoring you, meaning that technically we're here to save you because realistically we're bringing forth our agenda, right, and we want you to fit in the agenda versus what is your agenda, and then we promote and get behind your agenda, meaning have some genuine intentions behind what you're doing. And it may not even be that some organizations or people are doing this, but immediately there is a difference between the two. I mean, it's obvious. And I never really thought about that when putting the language to it, but there's a big difference between allyship and sponsorship. We don't need any sponsorship as it relates to, the content, what it is, the overall objectives and the vital points that we want to push forward when it comes to Sunshine Education Coalition, diversity, equity, and education. And even with Teaching for the Culture, I can say that as well, I believe. And we don't need that sponsorship, but we do need the coins, those grant dollars that we're so quick to attach to zip codes and receive that funding when a very small number of youth are reaping the benefits of those fundings. But we stand before in the cameras with leadership and constantly receive those dollars. But you could take a handful of kids that really were impacted by those dollars. And we also have a tendency to reach out to smaller organizations and say, what is that you're doing? And, we're going to involve you in the grant, but then I'm done.
No, I agree, because again, it's like you see the kids, but you don't see the potential. Let me tell you where the children's potential is only good: on the football field, on the basketball court. That's when you come to the hood and recruit everyone that you need to recruit. But then what are you doing for them after that? So the dollars are going to, all right, this is a kid over here that I know is going to go to college, and they're going to hype up the name, and their family's attached to this and attached to that. And that's okay, that's cool. But you're not looking at the big picture. The big picture. How can you help a large community? Not just, not one or two households. How are we helping a society? Because you have to remember, we're not going to be here forever. We're going to leave this earth. And what are we leaving behind? What are we really leaving behind? And we don't want to leave disparity. And remember, it's a burden. And I'm gonna tell you, as a teacher, it's a burden on us. It really is. Teachers are burnt out. That's first of all. People don't have empathy or sympathy for teachers. It's like, let me drop my child off and just keep it moving. But you have to understand, it's all of us together. All of us together have to work together to do this, to grow and build our society. I'm always going back to the society itself, because we know for a fact that if we don't help our youth, they're the ones that's going to be taking over for us. What are we doing for them? That's the issue right there. What are we doing for them? Now, one of the things that they said here, that the environment today, the teaching environment today is toxic for teachers. This is why teachers are leaving in droves. Do you realize every school is understaffed, coast to coast?
Nationwide,
understaffed. And then you're understaffed not just with the teaching staff, counselors, psychologists, nurses, all these things again. Kids have therauma. Kids are coming. Think about it. COVID has taken the lives of so many caregivers. So now you have kids coming to school and they're highly stressed out because grandma was alive and that was who was taking care of me. She gone. One of my parents is gone. You have to understand, this is what's coming to school, and we want them to read a book and take a test. I need y'all to wrap your head around that. I need people to understand. You can't get out. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't do it. We want to test them, but it's impossible when they're not mentally prepared to do it. And then we want to know why there's so many fights and so many issues. And remember, they relying on TikTok, social media, because at least I'm getting some kind of attention. Let's just do that.
And coming from some of the communities that they're coming from, they have a reason to be mad as hell. Because if I constantly see the gunfire, the violence, the drugs, the alcohols, the cemetery on a day-to-day and cannot see any type of light at the end of the tunnel, thinking as though that they don't have a choice but to continuously be in this, what they see right now life, they got a reason to be mad.
And so it's like one of the kids will say, I'm just angry, but I don't know why I'm angry. I have no idea why I'm just angry, because it makes sense, because you don't see that it's hopeless. The situation just seems hopeless. Like I get up, I go to school, I go back to my rough neighborhood, and I pray that I can get up again tomorrow morning. Or I don't know what's going to happen with the people around me. Is there going to be some drama? Is there going to be police on my block again? I mean, can I walk home? And then the other thing too is, when we look at our children, this one hit home. When we look at our children, who do we actually see? Are you seeing a child? A lot of times, people of different races look at Black children as full-grown adults, which is why when we
or threats, they just see them as a threat and as a whole.
Right. But it's interesting how you can see when you see the resource, that one video with the resource of just slamming that little girl around. It's like, don't you realize it's a child? By the very nature of the fact that you're in middle school, you should know you're surrounded by children. So why do you feel the need to beat up on a child or treat the child like the child is a full-grown adult? Help us understand that part. So you have to, this is where, again, the cultural competency, but the pushback is this: when you're not ready to accept the truth about this country's history, it makes it very difficult for people to move forward. I mean, I saw the uncomfortableness in the room when April and I were talking. We try to, every year. I love the fact that we tag team, because she's very factual and strict with that. I love it. I come back with a little bit of humor so that I can try to ease the tension a little bit, because people will they get shook when we start hitting them over the head with truth. And we're just like, where are your biases? Have you stopped for a second and looked and process your own feelings or your own emotions? Have you really thought about when you open your mouth and say things, how does it affect the person next to you that's not the same race? And then when we hit them over the head with, well, how diverse is your staff? Where's your I noticed that the people on your council, the lead people, it seems like there's one token Black person every time, that one token Negro, as we call it. Where the rest of the people of color? Because as I look around, I see Indian Americans, I see Asians, I see, you know, Hispanic people. I see all these people on campus, but yet when you look at leadership, hold on, let me look to the left and right. I don't, is there an owl somewhere that we can, oh, there, take flight. Because I'm still looking for the diversity in the leadership.
And then that does not mean you go and hand pick the individual that is in alignment with the agenda, that does not speak to or attest to the wrongdoings that have continuously systemically impacted the Black child, and then say there's diversity. No, that's BS. That's BS.
What they said in church, all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Skinfolk ain't kinfolk. Stop playing.
Because you could look like me, but you could be in complete denial that any of this is happening.
And we see it, we've seen it and we've heard it. Because once again, I don't know how any African-American male that live on this current earth that we live in the city of Tampa, Florida, living in Hillsborough County and the surrounding sister areas, can say they don't believe in school to prison pipeline. And I still cannot believe that individuals related to community prison pipeline. Community members don't write referrals unless they're a teacher or
grandma don't write a referral.
Yeah.
Okay, so I still don't understand that, but it's like, again, it's complete denial. It's a double thing. Or the other word I learned, cognitive dissonance. That's what it is.
Yes.
Cognitive, and I love that word. It just rolls off the tongue. I'm gonna use that in every conversation. $5 word.
I have seen that in so much of my coursework when I was in the PhD program. Finished that coursework by the way. Just chose not to do dissertation. I need people to know that. Not doctoral by. Okay. Anyway, finish all coursework, but moving on. That was always in the curriculum, and I couldn't connect it until then when you explained it. I'm like, what that is.
It's like,
because it was put in a consent. I can now visibly see it, know what it would look like. Know when somebody has experienced it. It all makes sense, but it was not until you shared it. So after you had someone explain it in a place where you could understand it.
Right. Because it's like, okay, so I'm winning all the awards. Everybody says everything is great. We're taking pictures. We're saying that the kids are doing fantastic. Okay, all of that. But yet all I gotta do is swipe across my social media feed, and I'm seeing parents dying left and right from COVID, kids experiencing trauma, 1,000,001 TikTok videos, every Middleton fight page. That's the big one. I go on that every day because I got to see if one of my babies is in there. Then I go on, look at all the other kids' fight pages. I mean, you're telling me we're doing great, but this is what we're seeing. And then look at the bigger, take the circle and go bigger. So neighborhoods are suffering. People can't get jobs. Look, I recently read an article about, this is affecting society globally, because what's happening in the world right now, people everybody who's in love with their iPhones, they can't get iPhones. Why can't they get iPhones? Because trucks aren't running. Nobody's there to drive trucks. Nobody, the parts of the shipping containers are sitting in ports with things that people need. Soon you can't get your stuff from Walmart in a minute. Amazon running slow. I mean, once you realize how this is affecting society in general, but apparently we're doing good. We're doing great. Who doing great is the question. The 1%, Jeff Bezos and all them that's shipping on William Shatner off in space. And by the way, I'm pissed off about that, because William Shatner, he didn't go where nobody boldly go where nobody gone before. Player, you've been in the same place that everybody else done been so far. Up right there. You just been floating and hovering in the upper atmosphere. Sir, please.
Don't be trying to turn your back on them. You know you love some Star Trek and Star Wars and all that. Don't turn your back on your boy now.
Nowhere.
Stay afloat.
You ain't went no. Anyway, all right, we can go back. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Look at the ripple effects of what's happening. When people are actually saying, I would rather open my own business or get the stimulus checks, because they're kind of run out, but I'm use my money and stay home. I could find a way. I could hustle and make more money than working in a restaurant. Your favorite restaurants. How fast is service now? The society is looking like this. But and it all goes back to, okay, we're not putting a focus on education. We're not putting the focus back on improving lives. We're not picking the right people in leadership. We are not doing what we need to do to make sure that everyone gets to come up. Crime will go down if everybody get paid. Look at the case studies. They show the 2 businesses that where that one person went and paid his employees above minimum wage. He gave them like between $17 or $25 an hour.
Yep, he didn't take a salary.
And when he paid them that, everybody came to work. That was the first effect was, hey, people like, dude, I'm coming to work. You know, this man paying me I ain't missing on this check. That's first. Productivity increased. Okay, people were able now. People who were living in apartments their whole life were able to buy houses for the first time, buy a nice car, feed their family. And it's like the small percentage that already have it want to keep it back from everybody else. Don't you realize if everyone has a come up, we all gonna do better as a society?
And to go back to what you were saying earlier on, Denise, about the false presentation about everything is going well in our district or at school sites. So we didn't bring this to the we try not to get too much caught up in school names outside of our own and where we work at. But we didn't put the article about what was going on at Greco. We didn't put that out there. We knew about what was going on at Greco. We understood the travesty that the teachers must have been going through, but it just took that one to bring it to the forefront. And we know the backlashing that that individual may have received. But the problem that just made me just want to climb under a rock and just turn into a piece of gum that just melted on the hottest day in Florida is when our board member, Lynn Gray, made a post and made it about the principal is doing a great job over here at Greco Middle School. Now, number one, did anybody say she wasn't doing a good job? No, I don't recall anybody saying that she wasn't doing a good job. I don't even recall that individual in the interview saying that she didn't do a good job. But I did hear that teacher crying out for help and support for the children that are seemingly demonstrating their frustration or demonstrating the level of trauma that now I'm going to push it back out. The only way I know how to exhibit it, that they needed help. That's what I did hear. But I didn't hear our board members say, these are the things that we came here to support and provide her with. These are the things that students and parents can expect in community and respect to what we're going to offer. I didn't see that. And again, like I said, I got 7 family members that go there right now. And you know me, what's going on over there? Anything new? Nah, they had several fights the next day. So for those of us educators that continue to look like us and say nothing, knowing the hell that's happening on these campuses and knowing the disproportionate number of students that look like you being suspended for whatever the case may be, we can't save them all, but we surely can save over half of them that's being disproportionately suspended for things that their peers are receiving less punishment, less harsher punishment from. We can do something. So stop always thinking about you, because in the end, if our forefathers had the same mentality, the same man that y'all talk about, that I had a dream, and the same individual said by any means necessary, and the same individual said that they don't care nothing about, we wouldn't be sitting here on this very platform right now having this very conversation if we were waiting on the mentality that you have now to see something different happening for us today. I might be in a big house, though. I'm just gonna say that.
Right.
I wouldn't have got beat as bad. I'm just gonna say that.
You'd have been in the big house.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
I'd at least work my way to the kitchen. But listen, it is so true. Now we do have. I have not checked the feed. There is a comment on here, and I think it was probably from earlier. We were about 30 minutes in when the comment came in. But Diana Williamson said there are many mentorship programs in the city. How are they supposed to get to the kids? The school district has kids scattered all over. The students are bussed out of the neighborhoods, the most fragile neighborhood. It makes it very difficult to help. Yeah,
Facts. That's all facts.
yeah, that's facts. I mean, you putting kids, you sending kids all over. And remember, if you're sending a child, for example, I have kids coming as far out as I think I have one kid from Lutz, one kid, Riverview, Gibsonton. So now you want them to stay for a mentorship program, or after school program. Fine, but now how are they going to get home? You know, because if they ride the regular magnet bus, that's fine. But then there's no one at the end of the day to get them, especially if their parents are still in Gibsonton. And then they got to come all the way back to the school to come get them. So, you know, that's why a lot of stuff has to be incorporated throughout the school day. A lot of this stuff. And then that's where all that, you know, getting that paperwork and having to serve forms filled out and all those things like that to get people into the school, because the kids are crying out for help. They're crying out for help. I have a group of boys right now. I can literally look at this. It's almost every boy in my fifth period class.
But wait, hold on. But don't the Buccaneers come to your school? I'm done.
Huh?
Oh, will the Buccaneers come to your school?
Girl, listen. Buccaneer representatives come to my school. We haven't seen a Buccaneer yet. I need to see a Super Bowl ring glisten in my face, but I still am grateful. Did somebody slide out the camera? Oh, I'm still grateful for.
They didn't bring the award to y'all school and come show the rings. Nobody did.
No, they didn't.
Nobody did that. But at many schools
some laptops
in the outer, they didn't saw the trophy. They didn't saw the Stanley Cup.
No.
They didn't saw.
No, but we got laptops. Now, see, that's what was it? The squeaky wheel will get the grease, because once I complain enough, all right, okay, can we get some laptops? That's good. Now we got to work on some mentorship. Now we got to work on some other stuff. Okay, we need to keep going. Remember, it's just one step. It's like that little picture that you saw, the meme where the guy says, okay, the picture is a huge mountain and racism is right on the bottom. And then the person at the bottom looked tired. And we're like, dude, we just started this climb. We just started this climb. Why are you tired? You tired already? Wait a minute. We all down here is just racism. We haven't even gotten to diversity. We haven't gotten to equality. We haven't gotten to educational reform. We haven't gotten to any of that. We still down here and just acknowledging that there's racism in this country. We got a long way to go. And keep remembering, put this number in your face again. 67 years. That's how long Brown versus Board education is. It ain't even reached 100 years yet. So you see the struggle is real right now. And
Ruby Bridges is still alive. Let me just point that out.
Thank you.
And Ruby Bridges is still alive. Now, are we going to acknowledge her and give her accolades well after she's dead? Because right now she's still alive to talk about all of this. And I'm sure she does. But in this good old deep South, we have for every
right.
Say something.
And there's so many senators and things right now in Congress and legislation. They're older than her, so they already are well aware of all what she went through. They're older than her. They're sitting in the 80s and 90s. I mean, look Auntie Maxine, as we call her. She's older than her, so she's seen all what was happening. And so, like I said, we have to understand this is current. This right now is history in the making. What we're trying to do right now is history in the making. You have to understand it's a painful process. It's like giving birth. It's a painful process. I know it's painful to talk about it, but here's what we want to throw out here for you, and I want you to think about this food for thought right here, and play this video back. America refuses to acknowledge two of the biggest genocides in history on this land, and you want to know what they are? One, the destruction of the indigenous people. How many Indian tribes, how many Native Americans have you ever met in your life? Okay, that's one.
And I want you to add that we live in the city of Tampa,
right?
Where that good old casino where all y'all
the Seminole tribe. Where are
the other tribes that existed with the Seminoles?
Thank you. Okay, so that's one. That's one destruction of one group of people, and the other is the enslavement of the African people. That's a monster genocide. Monster. But are we accepting that? We don't want to talk. Oh, we can't talk about race. Yes, we can, because we built the White House. There's so many inventions that people of color have. Do y'all want to talk about Henrietta Lacks? Because y'all stole herself.
And the family is just beginning to get some movement on the fact that y'all utilized this woman's sales. Y'all took ownership.
of her cells. Of
You
her
took
cells.
ownership of a person's cells. That's how much you do.
Genocide, the destruction of a people. And then not only destroy the people physically, but mentally. Mentally, to where we have colorism, mentally to where we feel that, you know, if you look a certain way, we hating ourselves. We busy to contour ourselves. We cutting off our nose, putting in contact lenses. We want to be somebody totally different. We hate ourselves. When you see a black man saying, I only want this shade of woman, you hate yourself that much? I can't be with you because your hair isn't straight enough for me. What? So you have to understand, that's a mental destruction where a woman is more comfortable living in a house without a male because the government told her a male shouldn't be in her household. It's not necessary for a man to be in a house. So now you got a bunch of women who truly believe that a man that has no place in their life. Okay, so now wait a minute. So you also talk about, what about the children? Because even if you're not with the father, the child still need both parents. The child still need both parents. But you've got a bunch of women that hate the father of the child. Come on now. But that's all system. That's all fed into the mind. That's been fed into the mind for years and years and decades and hundreds of years of that. I need you to understand, we didn't do it. We came over as a family unit from Africa. We brought our traditions over here. Why you love our music? Why you got kids on TikTok with the big old girl? Did you see the kids on TikTok with the two white boys with TikTok with the? Did you see that? And the whole rap video. I don't look the whole time. My jaw like this. What am I looking at? I mean, and just embraced the rap with the. Who is that? What's the rapper with the things that stick out like that? What's his name?
Coolio.
Which one?
Coolio.
No, but no, that's our generation. They got.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Kodak Black.
Oh, Kodak. That's a whole nother.
They got the whole yeah, all that going on.
Yeah.
So, which is again appropriation of other people's culture. But why do you want to have our culture so much? Because you know we are cultural people, and that's double think too. Because you hate us, but you love our culture. So why can't we
back
teach
into
our
the
culture?
days when we were utilized primarily for a source of entertainment? So you love the way that we're capable of entertaining, but versus monetizing us for just what they're doing, the entertainment, you rather steal it by way of contractual terms, steal it by way of I will pay you for your talent, your what they call intellectual property. And now when I'm done with you, or you burnt out or whatever it may be, or reach a hard time, I don't need you anymore because I own your intellectual property. And we've seen it so much when the older singers, R&B singers, some of them were never able to bounce back, never, because they just became so much in debt. And what her name is, Anita Baker,
Yes.
just got her master's.
Yep.
And they were talking about how she's such a mean woman, and she's in person she's mean, she's nasty. Hell, she mad.
She mad, and she's telling people not
and
to
we
buy
wonder
her
why
her
she
stuff.
just fell off the earth with music. She was mad. Prince did it too.
Mm-hmm. Because you have to understand, for example, there is I think two players. One is a black hockey player, and the other one is a black soccer player, and they're wonderful on the field. On the field, everybody cheer for them, or on the ice, or on the phone. Like, just take the football games. Everybody cheers for them. But if you saw them on the street, you quick to call them out. You're afraid of them. Oh, let's call the police. This black man driving a $200,000 car.
About that, yeah.
I'm like, well, if we're not teaching our children that too, understand they may love you on that field when you run up and down the field making money for them, but when you get on that street by yourself, you on your own. They don't care about you. They don't want you. They've used you. So if we're not teaching our children about money too, and figuring out how you're going to protect your own assets and your own stuff, I don't know. I mean, no. Oh, we just went on. Did I even cover the topic this week?
Yes, we did. We covered all the topics that were there.
But listen, parents, we want to tell you too again. please check the backpacks, the book bags. Please know that, like April said, this is a great opportunity right now to start fresh. If they did not do well in the first quarter, and look at stuff. And by the way, you listen, parents, when you're responding to messages in Canvas, this is just me to you all know, okay? Everyone, and I mean everyone, can see your messages. Everyone. It is a district approved. It looks like social media because it's a chat or whatever, or the email format. But remember, everyone can see it. So be careful what you're saying to teachers, to whoever. Everyone, once again, can see it. Everyone. So, and then everybody also can check that you've checked it. Then we can see, remember, it's all, digital. So we can see when you log on, when you log off, we can see, who's attached to it. Just be mindful of that. That's all we got to say about that. Anything else, April?
That's it. We want to wish you all a very awesome remainder of October. The next time we will speak to you all will be right before Thanksgiving break. Yes. And we do want to know who thought it was a good idea to take our doggone Labor Day off. Was that the day they took for us? What was the day? Columbus Day. Now, we don't know what Columbus did, but we sure needed it because this work all the way to November is foolishness.
It's brutal.
We burnt out.
It's brutal.
So we needed that one day. We needed it. And they already put the calendar out for next year, I think. So we can't even do nothing about it next year. But what I will say is over half of my students didn't come anyway. So I hope they take that as a, into consideration for the future. Like it was the same way when they took our Good Friday Day one year and nobody showed up and all the kids that did show up was in the gym. So yeah, think about that, guys, because it's important that we have good attendance, and you can't have it when you put days out there that the kids are not going to come because parents are mostly off. A lot of them were off if they work government jobs, and we work for the government. We want to be off too.
Correct.
But that's all we have. And again, we wish you all a fantabulous week. I'm April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar.
I'm the Diva D from Carved Out Divas.
And we're Diversity and Equity in Education. And we want to thank
Bianca Goolsby and Teaching for the Culture, the fabulous team at Teaching for the Culture. They're amazing.
Have a good week, guys. Bye.
Bye.